that. Hi, and welcome to After the Hype. With me, as always, Bryan. Hi, John.
Hi.
Ryan.
Hello.
Chewie is here.
Hi.
Okay, then today we have two special guests. We have Brad back for the millionth time.
Yay.
And Laura for the first time.
Hi.
Okay, so we'll do with a quick where have you been doing. I will go first and keep it super, super short because I think it's already been mentioned in this podcast once. I've been playing Watch Dogs, and I really like it. That's it for me.
That was quick.
Yeah.
Wow.
I will go next because we talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
Last night, Bryan and I saw Pride and Prejudice versus Zombies. And
This is Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
And Zombies, whatever. And I loved it. I had a lot of fun. Darcy was the exact amount of like dashing and dark that I enjoy. And it's just perfectly melded the Pride and Prejudice parts with the talking with the fighting, because they'd be doing the exact dialogue from the book while sword fighting and kicking each other through furniture. It was amazing. Like, they're combining two of my favorite things. And I highly recommend everyone go to see it.
And Matt Smith steals the fucking movie.
Oh my god, Matt Smith.
He's in that.
Matt Smith plays Mr. Collins, and he brings so much like awkward joy to that character, because normally he's just really sleazy, but he made him like kind of quaint or whatnot this time, and it was just great.
He is the reason that I want to see it again. He is so fucking good in that movie.
I'll go. I'm sold.
Yeah. I just saw Hail Caesar last night.
Oh yeah, how was that?
Is it good?
It was really fun. I had a good time. It was a little bit sillier for the Coens.
They
but-
sometimes do that.
Yeah. So
I like their silly stuff.
Yeah. I love their silly stuff, and it's a cool kind of caricature of old Hollywood.
Okay.
So yeah, it was really, really funny. I dug it.
Right on. I didn't go to the theater last night, but I rented a Redbox. I saw Sicario for the first time. It was really good.
How
Yeah.
bad did you feel afterwards?
Oh, terrible.
It just makes you
but
feel
it-
so bad.
In such a great filmmaking way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's like
everyone go see it.
It's like
or
eating
rent it.
McDonald's.
It's like in the moment you feel good, and then right after you feel terrible about yourself.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Did you want to throw up too?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
Foreshadowing right in the beginning of the movie. It's good.
Oh, it's a good movie. Next.
I can go. So I've been rewatching Arrested Development because I've been making Rod watch it, and it's been pretty incredible.
He enjoying it? He never
He
watched
is.
it before?
He's seen like episodes here or there, but he's never seen it all the way through. So we just finished season 1, and he's really enjoying the Anyang character.
Anyang.
my
Anyang.
gosh.
Young.
So I don't know. I haven't really been intaking media like you guys have.
Doesn't have to be media.
You can
just
talk about
anything-
your job or whatever.
I want to talk about
yeah.
your job. This isn't therapy. Just
No, like just what you've been working, because she works in media too.
say
You
something.
should go on a hike. Somebody.
I
I've
did
been
a hike
working
once.
on
birth-
Hallmark movie.
Mackenzie said
really
a birthday
great.
party once.
Yeah. You can really say whatever you want as long as it's something fun that somebody could replicate.
That somebody could replicate.
Like, you could go see this. I could throw a Star Wars themed birthday party like Mackenzie did the one time, or I went on a hike that I told nobody they should ever go on.
I've been well, I took a lot of photos of a mannequin, which you can totally do, and
There you go.
I've been obsessing over those, creating an Instagram for it, and making prints of it and stuff like that. But yeah, go take mannequin photos because it's great.
What's the Instagram?
It's Laura Solomon Finer Art, and yeah, right now it's all mannequin photos.
I love those series, so listeners should check it out.
It is a lot of fun. We have one of them in our apartment now.
We do. It's in our bedroom.
Yep. All right, so we're going to move into today's episode. It is going to be, if you did not catch on in the past couple of episodes where we've been hinting at, it's a movie from the 90s that involves a big boat that does not go very well for the boat.
Love boat.
We are doing
Ghost Ship.
Yes, a classic Ghost Ship, which has a really awesome opening. Okay, so we are doing 1997's Titanic.
Ooh.
From the film master James Cameron. This movie came out obviously in 1997. It was a big fucking risk apparently for everybody involved. The studio gave $200 million to make it. There's rumors that James Cameron put in another additional $100 of his own money. I'm not sure if that's true or not.
I've read that he forfeited his paycheck because they went over budget.
Oh, okay.
And so that's what he did.
He
Okay,
made
so there-
so
yeah,
much
there-
money back.
Wow.
Yeah. It worked out well for everybody
Yeah.
involved.
It's like when Keanu Reeves took a pay cut on The Matrix and then got 10% of all revenue.
Yeah, that was a good move. So it cost $200 million. It ended up making $2.1 billion. 2.186, which is very important because Star Wars is really nipping at its heels, but they're not sure if it's going to be able to beat it. It's got another 186 million to go, and it's not looking like it's going to do it.
Titanic's not letting go.
Yeah.
Wow, you're
Just won't sink.
I'm catching up
Gifts.
for everybody.
So today's review comes from Metacritic. It is, I believe it's supposed to be like sarcastic. I could be wrong, and this guy could just be a total douche.
These guys think I'm sarcastic.
But I'm hoping that it's sarcastic. But this guy gave it a whopping 0 out of 10.
Wow.
So here we go.
0.
This comes from Chris B. from July 5th, 2007. So it goes back a little ways.
Ooh.
Worst movie ever made. Were it not for Kate Winslet being naked for a couple of minutes, I would have gouged my eyes out. There probably would have been a class action lawsuit against James Cameron because his movie caused blindness due to the eye gouging, had Kate Winslet not been naked. It's a bullshit romance. Go watch Rambo or something if you want to see a real movie. You know, one where there's no character development and shit gets blown up because it's awesome.
Oh man, what a
0 out of
dick
10.
bag.
I don't think this was a real review.
Did you add that?
No, I didn't. That was all in there. So that's what.
I
As soon as he
don't-
says the
I
whole
don't
character
believe
development
this
thing,
review.
when he gets to the character development thing, is where I think, oh, okay, he's just really angry at people for hating the movie.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, and that
No,
guy
I
could
think
really
it-
just have those opinions.
I think this is
but
a passive aggressive review.
that's what I thought too. But I thought it was fun enough to bring it up today. Yeah. So with all that out of the way, we're gonna move into the breakdown, and I was so dead set on having Brad do it because I know how much he loves this movie. That I will.
I do love this movie.
I really wanted to make Laura go. "Ah!"
I kind of wanted to see that
do that
too,
anyway.
but
Don't worry.
either way.
Have them both do it at the same time.
Would that even work?
Nope. Let's try it.
All right. So both Laura and Brad have to try to break down this movie independently. You both have to finish in 30 seconds.
Are we actually gonna do this?
Oh, we're
the
absolutely
same
doing it
time?
at the same time.
All right.
We have Ryan to thank for this idea,
Oh man.
as it goes horribly wrong. Almost as horribly
What a
wrong as the
great
Titanic.
idea.
All right, are you both ready?
I think so.
All right,
So fucking ready.
is John ready?
Don't trip over the
It's
wires.
not gonna go well at all.
Nope.
This is gonna go weird. Okay.
Kind of like the rest of their potential relationship.
All right, you ready?
Who's ours?
No.
Yeah, you and Brad.
If
Did you not know?
Rose, I think we're good.
Rose and Jacket stay together.
All right, here we go. Go.
So Bill Paxton is trying to
Oh,
find
yeah.
the heart of the ocean.
Oh wait, we're doing this together.
Yeah,
At the same time.
Okay, and then he goes on TV and this about his
You're not going fast enough.
I know because I'm confused.
So
Can we start
he
over?
finds Rose. Rose tells him about her time on the Titanic. A ship sinks. And
yeah, so she
falls in love with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, when she's trying to commit suicide, Leo dies, she survives, and then Bill Paxton's so moved by this story that he's
You're
like,
out of
fuck
time.
the diamond.
Laura nailed it. That was amazing. They kind
That
of
was so
achieved it.
hard.
Yeah.
I would say you actually pulled that off
There's a
against
lot
the
of
odds.
Go, go, go.
Yeah, I really can't argue
Sorry.
with that. Where do we start with this thing? It's a very tough question.
The scope.
You want to talk about the scope?
Yeah, this movie starts out
Like the ship, let's start as big
It
as
starts
possible.
out tiny. It starts out tiny with them underwater, with the trying to get the thing
The
to
safe.
flip over into the safe. And then as you jump into the story, when she starts telling the story, suddenly you just have these big sweeping epic things of the boat and everyone getting on the boat and Leonardo DiCaprio, and it's just like this movie somehow expresses size and like grandeur of emotion so much better than a lot of other movies I think do. I think that's one of the things that makes this movie special.
Yep.
Well, that's James
That's
Cameron.
it.
I mean, that's what James Cameron does.
Yeah.
That's true.
And I mean, like the Titanic was the greatest ship to ever be built. Like, and they
Well,
wanted.
except for the faults that
Yeah, it wasn't
sank
that
it.
great. in
Right,
the
but I
end.
mean, like in terms of like the just the economic status of it. The size, the scale. Like it was a the biggest ship. You
Yeah,
know?
the fucking marketing of
Yep.
it's unsinkable.
Yep.
And just like the way he could depicts it, like you actually like nowadays we feel that we get excited. We're like, oh my god, I want to be on this boat. Even though a lot of times in period films we'd be like, God, why was everyone so excited about this?
why'd
It's
you be
not that
excited?
big of a deal.
That's a fucking death trap. It doesn't make it one time.
But I
the
still
movie
wanna
starts
be on
like,
that
oh,
boat."
that boat looks awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like he went like the detail of just like the production design and everything, like it's all to scale. Everything is, he, like got blueprints and all sorts of designs, and
The plates like all had the exact little
Yep.
like seal on the middle of them. It's all correct.
Which is cool, but one of those things is like, yeah, it's really cool for the actors, I guess, because they don't ever zoom in on the
Hey,
plate.
they feature the plates when they're
I noticed.
falling off the counter and just crashing everywhere.
Yeah, they just keep cutting back to the plates. I'm like, why is this 3 hours long? Because we keep cutting to the plates falling off the cabinet.
It's like we could have lost 10 seconds there.
Oh yeah.
Little corners, nips and tucks. But yeah, as far as the scope goes, I think this is one of those. This was the first, I think, James Cameron movie that came out that's like, this is coming out Christmas of 1996, summer of 1997, Christmas of 1997.
Yeah.
And it's just, this is when it started his inability to ever hit a deadline, and we're like, well, that's gonna be fucking terrible then. And it's like, whoop, no, we're wrong.
No, I'm fine with that. I wish Marvel and Disney would do that. It'd be like, just make sure the movie's good.
Yeah.
Who cares about a deadline?
They're not James Cameron. They're a machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Marvel movies could go on with anybody.
Yeah, as long as Kevin Feige's attached right now, you're gonna be fine. And even
They would
without
still-
him,
yeah, they would get it done.
They'd find a way.
Just
This movie was all James Cameron.
and it forever will be.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
He was king.
he still kind of is.
That's why I said I thought he is.
I think it was. Whatever. But as far as like the rest of the scope of it goes, I'm not really sure. I think everyone kind of gets it. Like it's one of the biggest movies ever made. Like, and it forever will. Even if Avatar, even if Star Wars beats it, it's still Star Wars is part 7. Like,
and it still holds like the most consecutive #1 weeks at the box office of
Avatar
like
beat that.
13. No, it was like 13 for Titanic
Oh, was it?
consecutive, and
Oh, wow.
I think Avatar's only 9.
oh wow, okay. Yeah, it did. No pun intended. It blew everything out of the water.
Yeah.
Like, and it continues to do so.
Yeah.
It's still that movie.
Yeah.
You were into that one.
Yeah.
More gifts.
And it's like just the control of like creating mood and inspiring emotions in people. Whenever I meet someone that says they don't like this movie, I just want to like, how uncomfortable with your own emotions are you? Because I just don't understand how you can not like this movie.
I'll tell you, because it hit me in certain moments. I felt the moments at the right time, the emotions, but otherwise, I just don't care about the story. I would far prefer a historical like documentation of the Titanic. And
But then you should watch a documentary.
Yeah.
that I should. That's why I don't like this movie.
But that's why.
know.
But to me, that's why this movie is perfect, because it's so historically accurate, but then it still gives you a story that you can enjoy.
yeah.
But I agree with. It's a joke online, of course, but like the Honest trailer, who brings up a very good point. Don't get me wrong, I love this movie. I really, really do. But there's something to be said about, so you have the Titanic and all of these wonderful real stories that actually happened on the Titanic, and here's this fake one.
Yeah.
That is a little really.
They made it a Romeo Juliet on Titanic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's cool, and it makes it a great film, and I really enjoy the characters Jack and Rose, even though they should really stop saying Jack and Rose every 2 seconds.
Jack!
But it does a little disservice to the people who actually were on the ship, that really what they are more cameos.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so it's the unsinkable Molly Brown, and it's the guy who built the ship, and they all kind of pop up on the wings somewhere, while we spend all of our time focusing on these two people who actually weren't there.
Right.
Like-
Well, I think the problem with that is that it would be fine if it weren't something that was so grounded in being historically accurate.
Yeah.
I, on the other hand, I felt like the Titanic doing the Titanic thing was almost like this random non sequitur thing that happens in the movie, because
Yeah.
it's this love story, and then oh fuck, the thing is crashing, everyone's dying for about 45 minutes, and
Yeah.
it's like, what happened to love story, only love story. And I really liked the love story. I actually cry to it every time, except the time where I watched it with you two, where we were all just chatting through it.
Well, I got misty-eyed. My eyes got puffy.
But it really kind of makes this film that takes this kind of nice love boat story and a very dramatic left turn. Like, if you didn't know it was called Titanic, I'm not sure if you'd realize it right away. It's like, they really modeled that boat after the Titanic. Oh fuck, it is the Titanic.
They're all gonna die.
Right.
Yeah, no, I on this watch through, I definitely checked out kind of when everything went downhill, because I was into the love story.
Yeah.
See,
it's a
that's
good
the part
one.
that I love. I love
This-
the downhill stuff.
I love all of it. Like, I
think
really do.
Everything is so interesting.
The
and
science that they put into how much work everyone's always put on, like, what actually happened. With all the, like, interviews, be like, the band definitely kept playing until the very end. Like, what you pointed out, it took
But the
this long
framing
for the
story
lights
already
to go
talked
out.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, like
The framing story already talked about it. So, like, I feel like they kind of gave that all away. Like, it would have been cool to be like, oh, it actually splits in half. Like, like the things that they were trying to do. Like, the guy just
the Bill
breaks it down.
Paxton scenes.
Yeah.
The guy shows what happens, and then we actually see that play out.
Yeah, but that's
later
just
in
the
movie.
ship itself. They actually went into history and found out all of the interviews of people talking about what was happening with the people.
Right.
Which you don't know from the structure of the ship. So they actually,
They
the
really
way they had
research-
the characters happening is what happened. And to me, that itself is also fascinating.
Well, and all those
I don't
plates
think
that
it
fell
was
down
necessary, though. That's my problem with it.
See, that's where I disagree, and I think I know there's a lot of people who expect us to just basically talk about how shitty this movie is, because that seems to be like the general appeal of like the internet fandom of this movie, of that it's fucking horrible.
The internet's
and
wrong.
it's really not. It's a very, very well made movie, and it's just
Yeah,
it seems
it
to
is.
be whether or not you're into the love story and the Titanic, then you're into it. But if all you want to see is Titanic shit, it's not the movie for you. And if all you want to see is the love story, it's not the movie for you.
Yeah.
But I think they do a good job melding them,
I
because
think it's a very good job melding.
I love seeing Jack and Rose deal with I like, it's kind of the name is the dog kid show, Wishbone. Is that it?
Yeah.
It's kind of like
That's
that,
a
where
show.
the dog kind of happens to be in the right place at the right time to see all the historical events happen. It's kind of like that with Jack and Rose. It's like, oh, you just happened to be near the guys when they saw the iceberg happen. You happen to be on the boat when all the lights turned out. Like, they just kind of be in the right place at the right time.
Well, and the positive,
But I think they James Cameron did such a good job crafting that story where I don't question it.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
it's
it wasn't
also
until, like,
relevant.
well, you're not
Yeah, it's not
you're
like
not
they're-
focused on the historical accuracy of those two characters. You're like, oh, that's a cool love story, and then here's these historical accurate. You're not kind of picking it apart because of the characters.
Right.
So
And
that
the-
he draws attention away from that, which
Yeah.
is actually kind of a good move.
And the other thing is that it all plays into it well too, because you take this suicidal girl who's trying to kill herself, and this guy saves her, and that's how they fall in love. And then it, like, the ship's dying, everyone's dying, and then, like, he dies and saves her again, and, like, she goes on to live this, like, great life because of it. So it just, it all works together that they're there in that place and
Truly saved her.
yeah.
I really wish the internet could listen to this podcast enough so I could just kind of say, can we all stop talking about how Jack should have lived?
Yeah.
I don't care. He died.
I
That's,
agree,
that's how the
yeah.
movie played
I
out. Like,
agree.
we get it.
That was the choice
Yeah.
that they
Yeah.
made. And,
Yeah.
they could have cleaned up the details, but
Yeah, but they didn't.
it was better for the story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was better for the story. So at that point, fuck off. I get it. Yes, it was a big piece of boat, but it's done.
He could have. I mean, they could have filmed it in such that he actually climbed up onto the door or whatever and still died. That's realistically possible.
With how
He had hypothermia.
He was not a very big guy. He
No.
couldn't deal
He
with the
didn't
cold.
eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a rough day
Yeah.
before the boat sank.
Yeah.
He
was
spent all his
chained to that
energy
thing
just
all
moments
day.
before.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's start moving into like the more nitty gritty specifics of this thing, and I want to just kind of start with the actual the characters, which is where we usually start this thing. Let's start with a little bit of the side characters, and we'll move into Jack and Rose. I want to start with I'm forgetting his name now. Billy
Zane.
Billy Zane, who really has like
I love Billy Zane.
A beautiful douchebag.
He's so beautiful.
When he looks perturbed, many ladies are happy.
yeah, the angrier he gets, the more like
Somehow his eyes start.
I wanna make you
his
mad.
eyes sparkle with rage. Like, that's a talent. How do your eyes sparkle? When
I want
you're
that. I
angry?
want that as a shirt.
I was
I
waiting
sparkle
this
with
whole.
rage.
I was waiting this whole movie for him to break out into a Killers song. Like, oh, Rose. My eyeliner is gonna run.
I don't think it's eyeliner. That's just him.
It might not be, but it looks like it.
It's magical.
Yeah.
Magic eyes.
but beyond his looks.
Oh.
We're gonna have a tough time getting past that.
We might. I thought he did. Like, I really like him in this movie. I always kind of have. He plays like the best son of a bitch.
You like Billy Zane because you hate the character, right?
Yeah.
It's funny that girls, get all gushy for him because that's how I feel too.
But that's the
Yeah.
thing is, like, his character is so perfect. I mean, like, he's so accurate too, because I mean, like, he is one of the wealthiest people in the world. Not necessarily the world, but
Yeah.
like, he's high up there, and he can get whatever he wants, and so he's accustomed to having whatever he wants. So he just has that attitude and that presence where he walks into a room and he's like, "This is what's going to happen."
Yeah, and then when it doesn't happen, when Rose like literally at one point spits in his face,
Yep.
like it's like
Yeah.
what?
What? Girls fawn over me.
I'm white male with money. Like
Yeah.
I get everything.
Yeah.
All right, give me this baby. I'm getting on this boat.
He's so good at being such a selfish dickbag.
He is.
Especially when he just grabs that girl and be like, I got a child. I have a child. Let me on the boat.
I'm all she has in the world. Here, you take her.
I love that when he passes her off
And
later.
done.
Of course.
I need her back. Someone's looking at me.
All right. So after him, who?
Kathy Bates next.
Oh, Kathy Bates.
so
There.
yeah, I
cool.
love Kathy Bates.
Yeah.
She's my favorite.
She is
Yeah.
unsinkable.
She
Yep.
is.
All right. So.
Okay, done.
Cool. Next one. Next.
I mean, no. I honestly, I agree. I think she's great. She's funny. She's everything that she needs to be in the
I
movie.
feel like
Yeah,
watching this again, she was so underused. It feels like in this.
Oh yeah.
I don't think so. I think she was
It's
used just the right. I think she would have.
Yeah.
I think she would have overstayed her welcome had she been in it too much more.
Like with
She
the
could have been the
social circle
mom
she
or
was in.
something.
yeah,
but-
yeah.
They had her as like a good conductor for Jack to be like, so this is how you act like new money.
Yep.
But it's
And
a
that's
testament.
just all he needed at that time.
Yeah.
It's a testament to her performance, though, that I was like, I want to see more of you on in this
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, she's great. I mean, you know,
She did lead to the one thing that my sister called out when she saw this thing like 12 times in theaters, which she's like, "Oh yeah, you and my son are about the same size." No, that suit is perfectly tailored to you.
Yeah.
They're
And
the
where
exact
is
same
your
person.
son? Why do you have his clothing?
Where's your son, and why do you have his tux on the Titanic?
And as it turns
The D
out,
story.
he is her son.
There's a lot
Yep,
of fiction out
yep.
there.
We
Man.
get out another
Subtext.
hour into this movie. So after him, I mean, the other people that I don't really know them all specifically by name, but I like talking about the people who actually made the boat and were on the journey with it. Like the dude from who's in Legends of Tomorrow now. I'm forgetting the actor's name.
He's just the human.
He's the guy who designs the boat, right? Or
Yeah,
the
yeah,
designer or
yeah.
the
The
not,
guy-
not the builder.
Not. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
The one who says
one
that
that
he
esca-
built her a strong boat.
Yeah,
or whatever.
the
Yeah.
one that
Yep.
designed the ship.
Yeah.
And then the other guy who escapes is the one that built the ship.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm not up on my trivia.
Yeah,
This
he's
is
the
the
one-
first time I've seen the whole movie.
This
Oh,
is
really?
the
Yeah.
expert.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought both of them do a phenomenal
Oh
job.
yeah.
And it's kind of weird because the guy who built the ship, who's now on, the guy who designed the ship, who's now on Legends of Tomorrow, is a very good actor.
He's a
And
very good actor. He's
you
been
don't
in a
really
ton
see-
of stuff.
He was in the original Godspell.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't really like. He's always like that. He's more of a character actor. Like,
He's
he just
always
kinda
that.
pops
He's
up.
always that guy.
It's, oh, I know that guy.
It's Victor Garber, by the way.
Thank
that we're
you.
Talking about.
He's from Canada.
He's gay.
I didn't know that.
I think so. I'm not positive. I could be wrong, but
Is
I'm
your
pretty
gaydar
sure
just
he's gay.
going off, or do you
Yeah.
actually know
No,
this?
I think I've heard that.
It's more of a woo woo.
See what
woo.
Wikipedia says.
And then I don't remember the other guy's name, but I thought they both do a really good job of just kind of showing up and being there, but you don't feel like they're actors. Like they don't feel like they're
No.
like they did such a good. James Cameron did such a good job with these actors of actually making them feel like historical people.
Every character is super genuine.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
when they're on the like bridge where you have him, the guy who actually built the ship, the captain, and his like ensign, the first whatever, or number one, whatever, and just them interacting and him going, the ship needs to go faster, and you can see on the captain's face his like, we shouldn't do that.
Yeah, that's a bad
and
idea.
all of these like interactions of pressure, like when I started yelling during this movie, like, don't trust the media, just do what you're supposed to do. And it's all the media's fault because they wanted good presses, and just like all those little interactions where each one of them conveyed such fantastic emotions every
Yeah.
time.
They have it was a difference, the one that I thought you were talking about, but it's a little bit later. They have such that great moment where it's the guy who designed it, the guy who built it, and he's like, within 2 hours, this boat will sink. He's
Yeah.
like, well, it's a Titanic, it can't sink. He's like, oh, it's made of steel. I assure you, it
Iron.
can sink.
What's really
Oh,
great
iron,
though,
yeah.
what's really great though is his switch before that, because before that he's always like, oh yeah, the ship will never sink, it's perfect, you know, we don't have enough lifeboats because it was a waste of space and
Yeah.
blah blah. And then suddenly shit has happened, and you're like, and he's like, oh fuck, like
Yeah.
it will sink, and like he's like,
it's heavy as fuck. It will most definitely sink.
and you just see him doing the math in his head, like as he's like, you know, picturing what's going to happen and how everything's going to play out. And I mean, yeah, and the other guy's like, what? No, that can't happen.
I just wish there was one scene of one of them realizing it with their face, and then just suddenly they puke everywhere.
I mean, that's kind of what they're doing. I mean,
Yeah. Inside.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
the guy who built the ship, or the actual construction, the one that wanted the ship to go faster. You do see his face like kind of glaze over.
Yeah.
Just the captain too, like
Yes.
the captain's the one we're gonna move into next, because
Yeah.
I think he's kind of the unsung hero actor of the movie. He does
Yeah.
such a good fucking
the
job.
part when that woman comes up to him and be like, Captain, where should I go? And then he just looks at her and just walks away.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
what is he going to
Because what
say?
is he supposed to say? What is he supposed to do?
Yeah.
All the lifeboats are gone.
Where should I go? Swimming.
Yeah, my heart breaks for that character like harder than anyone else in the movie because like every time you just watch him die inside and just have
And
to
then
like
actually die.
He's like
Yeah.
absorbing all of the responsibility because
he's
he
the
listened
captain.
to the one guy who said, you have to go faster.
Yeah, I mean, everything about like when I was a kid and I saw this movie the first time. I mean, way back in the '90s, and that moment where he goes into the I forget the name of the room, but the room where like the wheel is and everything like that, where you steer the ship, and he's just like, "Well, this is it for me," and closes and locks the door, and all the water comes in. I remember as a kid just being horribly disturbed by that. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Why? He didn't do anything wrong. Why does he have to
tradition.
die? It's like, and then my dad's like, captain goes down with the ship. I'm like, well, then why would you want to be a captain? Who chooses that career
Well, you're
path?
supposed to
not a job for you.
you're not supposed to actually sink your ship.
Yeah.
That's the catch.
Kind of like how the captain went down with the Black Pearl or whatever from the Pirates of the Caribbean during
Just like that.
Spoilers.
Hurricane Sandy or whatever. That was Hurricane Sandy, right?
Or there was that ship that sank outside of Italy, and that's the big controversy because the captain escaped.
Oh, he left.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's so shamed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah. No, I,
I'd do the
It's kind of
same,
messed up
but-
that we expect the captain to die.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, well,
When there's not enough lifeboats.
Yeah, that's different. That's
yeah,
different.
that's different. That's
Everyone
different.
else should
Yeah.
survive
He's
first.
not,
but
we
that's
don't
the thing.
expect him to stay on the ship, like, and bye, as everybody's throwing away.
My bad.
he's supposed to be the last one off the ship.
Yes.
But to your story where the guy escaped and everyone's like, "Wow, that's an asshole." And it's like, no, he survived. It's okay. We'll deal. He lived.
Well, if everyone else in the boat died.
No, we're gonna call him an asshole, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the last like great honor systems that we still truly believe in.
We also need to bring back seppuku.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move into just the good old Jack and Rose.
Bill Paxton.
Oh yeah, we should probably do Bill Paxton before.
And
I
old
prefer
Rose.
him in Aliens.
I mean, doesn't everybody?
Yeah.
His hair was not good in this movie.
No.
It's so bad.
Oh,
But
but I
he-
loved his little earring thing.
Yeah.
He did super cool.
I think
It
that's
was
like
so
the one
cute.
thing that actually
So
dates
90s
this
cool.
film.
Is the earring or the hair?
The hair and the earring.
He did
Just
the
Bill
skeezy
Paxton.
thing
Yeah.
so well.
Yeah.
And
I
the
mean-
one guy wearing the comic book shirt, I can't
Yeah.
remember the name right now.
It's not Watchmen.
It makes me think of the Watchmen.
Yeah, it
though.
can make you think of it. It's not Watchmen. Though. Watchmen is just a splatter of blood.
Oh
it's not
yeah, it
shot
is.
in the
Never
face.
mind. Okay.
Yeah. But I knew
They
it enough to
probably
know what you're
wanted
talking
to use the Watchmen face, but they didn't have copyright for it.
about. Could be.
Why was he in this movie? Why is that whole segment, Gloria Stewart, the future Rose? I thought it could another half hour they could have
It
cut
was
out
a
of the movie.
sequitur, essentially. Did I
I-
say that word right?
Sequitur.
I don't
Sequitur.
know, but I agree with you. It was just sort of this thing that they needed to
Yeah.
to give further punch to the movie, and I guess book it, like get us
It's-
in and out of the movie.
I feel like
But-
it's like the one area where there was no confidence in the story itself.
I don't.
Yeah.
I think that's a bold. I think that's overreaching a little bit. I don't think there's no confidence in it. I actually.
Or maybe that it was just James Cameron was very interested in deep sea diving and he wanted to incorporate it.
is.
into the
that's
movie
more of
somehow.
what I think it is.
Yeah.
He's gone down to the Titanic like
Yeah.
dozens and dozens of times. He's like
He's seen it
worships-
more than anyone else.
Yeah, I
mean,
think
like,
so.
So I think there's something to it where it's like
I think he actually wanted to tell that story,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
think it served the film.
Yeah.
I see both sides of it because I get the point of like there's something to be said about the story of actually finding the Titanic, but this wasn't that story.
Right.
Because the actual story about finding the Titanic is fascinating. If you ever read it or look it up, like it's actually that would be a very
took
good
them a
movie about
while.
the people who are like dead set. They ran out of money on their last trip down. They found it. Like all that's awesome, but that's not in this movie.
Yeah.
This is the movie about a guy who's like
He's a
kind
pirate.
of
He's scummy, yeah.
yeah. He's kind of scummy, and as interesting and kind of cool as that story is, and it for some reason it all just serves a necklace that really has no bearings on any of the story.
Right.
And like unless the necklace sunk the ship, I don't know why
It
it's in the
made
movie.
them a lot of money because every girl in my 8th grade class bought a replica of
Oh,
that
yeah.
necklace.
Really?
Well,
Yes.
yeah, it made money, but I mean, there's a lot of things that make money from movies. I don't.
Yeah.
That's a dumb reason to take a half hour out of your movie. I get it because I like the whole bookending thing, which was really popular in the '90s, and then they tried it again with Benjamin Button. And okay, never again.
Yeah, that was bad.
But like, that's
yeah.
kind of like they did it in Forrest Gump. Like
Yeah.
that was kind of like a movie trope of the '90s. I think that dates it more than the look of Bill Paxton.
This
Is the
definitely
whole-
sets you up for one movie, and then when you get the other one, they're both two different movies that are good in their own ways. But you just start getting used to we're diving and hunting for treasure in the Titanic, and now we're in a period piece. Like, so you kind of shift gears, and then you get really into that, and they keep taking you out. And it's like, well, I never want to
Well,
see
they only
the
take you out, I think, once.
Yeah,
Yeah,
once
yeah.
in the middle.
Like it's only once in the middle, like right as the ship is about
Yeah.
to sink. That's the only time they don't go back and forth, which is great because they could have easily done that. But,
That would have.
But then it makes you wonder why they needed even the bookends. But again, for the time. But I
but I
just
think it's
didn't care.
also I think it's also to kind of explain because she's also explaining to the audience a little bit the actual like problems that were going on that you don't really see. Like she's because Bill Paxton. I mean, he sort of like on the nose says it at the end. Like I never really understood it. He's just sitting there. He's just hunting treasure essentially. But now he's actually getting like the exact information of what was going on. And I think it makes.
There was also that weird
It
bit where
made
they
them
didn't
care.
trust.
Yeah.
Where they
Yeah.
didn't trust her at first, and then suddenly do, like, because her story was somehow more compelling than any other person's story. Like I don't know.
Right.
Like
Well, I mean, they trusted her because she knew specific facts about the diamond
Yeah,
that
yeah.
nobody knew about.
She
I mean,
knew she knew who bought the
And-
diamond. She knew, she
Yeah.
knew people's names. So then they're like, oh, well, she kind of.
And you look at her photos that she brings on the boat with her face in them, and then you look at the drawing. Yeah, it's her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like a very, very much like an audience perspective sort of device. Like here,
Right.
let's look into history and let's look at it more than just like objects and stuff of value. Let's find like emotional value in it and also, wow, love,
Like Bill Paxton was supposed to be the audience's into the movie, but I don't think it's necessary.
No, I agree. I don't
Kinda
think it was
funny, though.
necessary, but it doesn't. It's one of those things where I don't think it's necessary, but I don't have a problem with it being there.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah,
like I need
yeah,
to look up
exactly.
a fan edit of somebody taking it all out because I'm sure
No,
it exists
no.
somewhere. Like I'm totally fine with it being there. I enjoy it for the most part. It has when we get into quotes, it has my quote. So there's enough in it that I appreciate it, but I totally agree that if it wasn't there, I don't think it wouldn't have made the $2 billion. It still would have done
Yeah.
everything it did and accomplished what it did without it.
And those are just the parts where, upon rewatch, where I'm just like, I wasn't really paying that much attention to it. Like, it didn't bring me into the movie at all.
See, but as somebody that I used to love, like not just the movie, but just like the history of the ship.
Yeah. And that did it for you?
That
Those
I
scenes?
thought was very interesting. Like just watching like the replica of it actually sinking and them kind of explaining what was going on, and then them discussing,
Yeah.
oh, the ship's rudder and things like that. Like I was like, this is interesting to me, and I think that's also why James Cameron put it in because that's stuff that was interesting to him. He's wanting
Yeah.
Right.
he's wanting you to see, like because if you just have the ship sink, like just the actual period piece, you don't get the actual history of
Yeah.
going down to see it. You don't get like the underwater exploration of it.
And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but before this movie, I mean, people knew because they'd seen photos of it that it was in two pieces, but nobody really understood why it cracked in half.
Not until they found it.
Well, yeah, I knew that.
the
I knew-
80s.
Yeah, until they found it, they didn't know it was. But
Right.
by the time this movie came out, people
Right,
understood that it was
yes,
in two
yes.
pieces. But nobody really understood, at least the general public, why it cracked in half. And in the
Exactly.
beginning, they fully explained, like, this is why it.
I remember
I didn't even fully understand why it sank. I mean, granted,
mean,
I
I
was
d- I-
like 13 at the time.
Yeah,
so.
they explain it pretty well. I mean, why it does sink. Like it just went past too many of the
Yeah.
compartments, and if it had not, it would have been able to stay.
Yeah, I think if it hit like 4, it would have
Yep.
been fine, but it hit 6, and it was like,
Yeah.
well, that does it.
Yep.
It was actually the fact that they tried to turn out of the way of the iceberg, right?
Well, yeah,
I heard
if
that,
they-
like if they just hit it head on, it would have just kind of broken the front of the ship and
it's like-
stayed afloat.
I mean, it's all like theoretical, but
Oh,
if
yeah.
they hit it dead on, it would have, like they said, it would have hit 2 compartments, so it probably would have stayed afloat.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they had not thrown it into reverse and tried to like kick
Yeah.
the ship out,
There's
Right.
all sorts of theories.
yeah,
behind
there's
it, like
all
what they
theoretical.
could have
but-
done.
Yeah.
If they had not got thrown into reverse. If they had just steered out
Whole
of the way.
bunch of woulda, coulda, shoulda.
I think that's
But-
one scene the movie did really well. The moment when they're approaching the iceberg and really showing you why everything went wrong at once.
Yeah.
Because of Jack and Rose.
Yeah, because the Watchmen were, creeping on Jack and Rose. Exactly why.
Creeping on Jack and Rose, and they didn't have any starboard, the front of the boat, lights.
Right.
Why
and
didn't you just
They didn't
have-
have any binoculars. They couldn't find the binoculars. They
But
lost
that-
in
Didn't
some
have
other
that
port.
But like
Technology.
things like that
Yeah.
are historically accurate.
Technology
Yeah,
to
that'll
have a
happen.
light.
But like
Yeah.
the people in the what is it, the crow's nest?
Crow's Nest, yeah.
Yeah, they actually lost the binoculars. So I mean, like, there's so many historically accurate moments in this movie, and you just kind of overlook it and forget it.
Right.
And I don't know. It's just
Now let's talk about the least historically accurate thing in here, and let's talk about Jack and Rose, because I feel like we're talking about the Titanic.
I mean, to be fair,
movie.
this could have happened.
It probably
It
didn't.
did happen. It's real, guys. It's real.
Their love is real in my heart.
It's
believe
real
in
in my
Jack
heart
and
too.
This was, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but this was like Leonardo DiCaprio beyond Romeo and Juliet, like his first like huge major market.
Yeah, this is
movie,
like
right?
a
Yeah,
big.
before this he
fuck
had
yeah.
What's
Both
Eating Gilbert Grape.
Oh, he was so good in that.
Yeah.
He's
We should do
really
one
good.
on that.
Yeah. Oh my God, he's good.
Yeah.
Man. He was up for an Academy Award for that, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
I think
so.
That was the beginning of his losing streak.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean,
Here you go for Revenant.
yeah.
Sorry about Gilbert Grape. He did fine.
He did. He was exactly what the movie needed him to be. He
Yeah.
was charismatic. He was handsome. He was witty at times. He was serious at times. Like
Yeah.
he was everything the movie needed to be. He had the perfect '90s haircut that made all the girls go, "I love him."
It's
And he
back
was
a little
so
It is back a
hot.
little bit.
Yeah.
And
My
he was
12-year-old
sensitive.
self was in love.
Oh yeah, there were so many of my friends in like all the way through high school, like way after the movie came out, who still had photos of him in their locker from Titanic. It's like, you know,
And he was sensitive. He wasn't drawing for the boobs. He was drawing for the hands.
yeah, but for people like us, he still drew the boobs,
Right.
which was
Yeah.
great.
PG-13. We can go.
Oh man, that was life changing right there.
It was.
Oh, boys.
Yeah, but he was also like kind of wild and like,
Yeah.
you know,
He
just-
was bringing her out of her box.
yeah.
Yeah,
Which
but-
is what was suffocating
He
her.
turned her the fuck out.
But it's one of those things where, like, as much as we can joke about it, I actually think he was an incredibly well-written character. Like,
Yeah.
and especially like in a love story like this, it could really be a two-dimensional, like, hunky guy.
Yeah.
And they totally avoid all of that. I mean, that's more James Cameron again, because
Right.
he won't use those sorts of characters. He's usually not.
But he's such a wonderful archetype for freedom.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a home. He doesn't have a country. He's his own
American.
person.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, yeah, but he just
He
still
just sort of-
travels the
yeah.
world somehow on his
he's wandering.
own.
He doesn't have ties. He has
Yeah.
a home, but
Exactly.
Yeah,
he's not
which
chained
is
down.
totally what his character. He's the archetype of freedom and lust. Like
Yeah.
those are the two things he represents.
And had he not died, he would have totally Rose and him would have had a horrible life.
I mean, yeah, it's just like this ending to The Graduate.
lasted.
They would have been in love, poor and in love.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have lasted. It
It
would
would
have
have been Raising
ended
Hope.
like this was 2 days in, right?
Yeah.
Like next week they'd be so over it.
She'd have killed him.
It'd be like Keanu and Sandra Bullock from Speed. It
Gone
just didn't
Girl,
work out.
or- We've been naming
Our
so many
relationship
movies.
just went under 55 miles per hour.
But as well as he does, I think she does just as well. I love
Yeah.
Rose. Like I
Yeah.
love that character. Kate
Yep.
Winslet. Like
She was the caged bird that needed to be let out to sing.
Yeah.
These metaphors, dear lord.
you are all about the metaphor today.
I mean, because that's to me, that's
Titanic
what this
does this.
movie is.
That's
Like
great.
what you say,
No,
like some
that's-
people don't believe in the relationship, but yeah, you're not. It's such a hyper reality of a love affair.
Yeah, and I mean, like, think of it this way too. I mean, when we saw it, they were all older than us, but now we're looking at it now. These are 17-year-old kids. You know,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Little
they're both
sprouts.
16, 17.
They're
you know,
so
like,
angsty.
30-year-old Bryan goes, "Fucking snap out of it. Go with the rich guy. He's gonna
Yeah.
give you a good life.
Well, no, he's an abusive dick.
he's
Like
a
she should have
dickbag.
left him for sure.
Yeah, take his money."
yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, they're very much in that young love, and you kind of see that, and the movie captures that.
It totally captures the. But I love him, Mom.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you've known him for a day, and
Yeah.
he has fleas. So no, you don't.
Yes, please.
She's not wrong.
Very
We have no money, and this dude you're marrying is rich, and come
Yeah.
on, come on.
The
Listen,
mom.
there weren't that many rats
Yeah.
in the poor floor.
If this was 2012 instead, she'd just be like, "Yeah, I have a good time on the boat, but you're still marrying bitch."
But like that's the thing that I like about this movie is that I mean it does something that James Cameron does really well, where he just makes like the idea of having fun. He does such a good job with. He makes it like the party they go to in like the third deck.
Yeah.
looks like a fucking blast. Like I would love to
yeah.
go to that party.
Every time I watch that, I miss going to dances after this movie in middle school and high school and be like, let's spin. Hold on.
And have beer poured all over you all the time. There's
Yeah.
so much beer spilling everywhere there.
But it looks like nobody's paying for the beer, so it's
Right.
okay.
And nobody cares.
Yeah.
I'd feel
Nobody
so
cares.
gross.
Like you had to walk out of that party smelling horrible.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I don't even know if they had showers
You're on a
on
boat, you
yeah,
can't do your laundry.
and laundry was
I'm
not
sure
They don't give
busy.
a fuck though.
Yeah, they didn't give a shit. It was awesome.
The
Just look how
dogs
much-
poop down here. It'll cover up our smell.
The dogs,
Yeah.
those dogs were amazing.
They all died.
Yeah, the dogs are dead.
Yeah, the dogs.
No,
are dead.
The dogs
guys,
definitely
the
died.
dogs survived. The dogs survived. They're all
They
good.
doggy paddled all the way to New York.
Yeah, they froze
Yes.
to death and they died.
No,
Or, as I was saying to Laura as we were watching the movie, the upper class ate them.
no, not true. The dogs are still
They had a
alive.
little barbecue on the lifeboat. It kept them warm and
They had to wait
nourished.
like 3 hours for those boats. You got to eat something. Those dogs got to go.
I mean, because that's what rich people do, as Rose illustrates. They just sit around and talk and eat.
Yeah. All right, what else do we want to talk about this thing? Do we want to talk?
Wait, the mom.
Costume design?
We have to go to the mom. We didn't talk about the mom's character. I know you're super into her, Chewie.
Well, it's until the very end when she's getting all elitist about the boats, about the lifeboats. I can sympathize with her because, yes, it is 1912. You're a woman. Your options are so limited, especially as an older woman. Her survival is specifically dependent on her daughter. So I can definitely have sympathy for her. But yes, she's definitely also a terrible, mean person.
Yes.
yeah, non-compassionate pimp.
Yeah. But that's what you did with your
Yeah.
daughters
That's
back
pretty
then.
accurate.
I know, it was like whore training, you know, like the mom was whore training her. Like, you remember when the other girl's like lacing her up and then the mom comes in, she's like, no, tighter, smaller waist.
It's like when people always be like, chivalry. Why does no one do chivalry anymore? I'm like, because chivalry, other than opening doors for women, was terrible.
Right.
Gosh, it looked terrible. Terrible, terrible. Very glad I was not alive then.
Yeah.
Pimped
Oh, I'm
out by
so
my
happy.
Mom. Thanks, Mom.
All right, well, let's move into, you want to talk production design of this thing? Which we've kind of been talking
That's where
about
I mean.
as
That's
we
one of the
go.
things within the scope of the film: the production design, the costumes, the gun. Just everything had so
The
much
gun was
detail.
Gun's
Yes.
pretty.
It was a beautiful gun.
I don't like guns. I would take that gun.
And, well, what's his name in Ninja Turtles?
I don't
The
remember his name in
doctor?
Ninja Turtles.
You're like, the ooze!
Yeah.
Which I always just wanted him to yell the ooze at some point during this movie, no
Oh, that
matter how
guy.
many times I
I don't
watch
think
it.
he ever yells the ooze in Secret of the Ooze, though.
He doesn't.
He talks about the ooze.
As a fan of Ninja Turtles, I can attach.
Well, in my brain,
I
he
think
does.
that also would have taken you out of this film. What ooze?
Why are you talking about
But
mutagen?
either so, just because, yeah, it's just that moment with the hat. The moment we first meet Rose's character, we meet her hat. Well, first, actually, we meet her hand, then we meet her shoes, then we meet her dress, her hat, then we meet Rose. Just
very
All the important
symbolic.
things first.
Yeah.
It's very
It's just-
symbolic.
Yeah.
because it was symbolic of where her character was at that moment
Right.
in her life, actually. And
That was her cage.
And she's just going
so
through the motions.
I bought the book for costume design after I saw this movie, which I didn't buy books like that back then when I was younger. It's just the detail, the amount of work that every person, like, you can feel it in the film that, like, everyone was on their A game. Like, everyone just, like, almost knew we're actually making an important film right now, which so many times I'll make a movie and I just won't give a shit and be like, just get it done.
Well, it's one reason
So
why I
Chewie's
was,
available for work.
Right.
By the way.
But it's like when you have that moment of, like, I'm really creating something special, and that's what everything felt in this film.
Yeah, this is one of a great example of a film where they just really did everything the right way.
Yeah.
A more recent one was Mad Max, where they just
Yeah.
like they went all the way. You can't stop short. You have to get every detail right.
Well, this is a much like Mad Max. It's a testament to having a good director.
Yeah.
I mean, James Cameron would not let. Well, I mean, the costumes look good enough. I don't think good enough was ever anything ever mentioned in this
It
movie.
needs
Right.
to look perfect for every body. Like, everyone needs to look perfect in their
Yeah.
outfit.
The only thing that was good enough was the stars, and then he even changed that in the re-release. So the stars actually looked like they would have looked in 1912. Like,
yeah, that's pretty awesome.
like, that's just badass.
well,
And he directed the hell out of those hats. Those hats were all
I'm
amazing.
just looking at those hats and be like, that is the reason why so many birds are extinct.
Right.
Yeah.
well, and that's
But
why
we got sweet hats.
Sweet ass hats.
that's why for me the kind of the framing device about showing how James Cameron was very serious about the historical aspects. Why I didn't need it personally is because he put so much emphasis on making those details in the ship,
Right.
in that
Yeah.
story is so precise and so effective and so well done that I already bought it. Like, I already know, like, James Cameron is into this. Yeah, like, because he pushed for it, like you said,
Yeah.
pushed for it to, like, this. Nothing was ever good enough.
Yeah.
Good enough wasn't good enough. It had to be better. So for me, I kind of threw off, like, I just absorbed that, like, he's serious about this shit.
Yeah. He's definitely-
James Cameron has his passions, and that is why James Cameron got a song on South Park. Like, you're wonderful.
all right. So, is there anything else that we need to touch on? We've already been talking a little while in this movie. I know there's no way to talk about everything in this movie because we'd need a 4-hour podcast. What have we missed? Is there anything else we want to talk about? Or do we need to move into quotes?
That's great.
Good time to move into
I
quotes.
just thought it was interesting that Jack gets paid 10 cents a piece for his portraits. That turns out to be about $2.50 now.
Oh.
He's not making a lot of money for
No.
those portraits.
No, I did when we looked it up when Billy Zane, I'm forgetting his name again.
Billy Zane.
Hands him $20. That was $476.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then when he's offering him to leave, he's like, "Here, take this money and get the fuck out of here." It was like what, like 800 something, like 850 or something.
It was
'cause it's
because he handed him
220s.
220s.
Yeah.
And then later when he
he
stuffs
turns
that
it down.
dude's pocket with a wad of 20s,
20s,
he just gave him like a year's salary.
Wow.
Gosh.
I'm like,
Also, Jack takes rejection way better than Hitler.
all right.
It's just like when he goes
No,
to
hold
Old
on.
Paris and they're like, and he's like, well, they didn't think much of it there, and he's just like, I'm going on a boat, and Hitler's like, well, you don't like my paintings? I'm gonna go take over Poland.
So here's the thing.
Jesus, that took a long time to get rid of Hitler.
Do you think if Jack survived, would he have been the earlier Hitler? Like
I just wanted to
Hitler's
make that
predecessor?
joke.
All right, moving into quotes. Does anybody else have theirs completely ready and loaded? Because I actually have to pull mine up.
I have my
No,
Yeah.
I gotta
got
pull
one.
mine up.
My favorite part, or my
Quote.
favorite quote,
There it is.
is when the Titanic's going down and Bill Paxton goes, "Game over, man."
I love that part.
It's the best.
I'm not even going to make you pick a different one.
I do have a different one.
Chewie, you got one?
Yeah. Okay. Mine is from Cal Hockley, which is Mr. Pretty, and now his name just eluding me.
Billy
from
Zane.
Billy
Billy
Zane.
Zane.
Thank
Billy
you.
Zane.
What? You forgot too?
I know. I'm
Billy
sorry.
Zane. How
Remember,
dare
I'm
you.
terrible with names. But when he scoffs and says something Picasso, he won't amount to anything, or won't amount to a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this just illustrates his character so well. Like, he thinks he knows everything, and he doesn't know shit.
Yeah.
Mine comes from the framing story. It's the dude with the smiley face with the bullet hole thing, and he's talking to Bill Paxton about whether or not Rose is a liar. He's like, that would make her like 102 next week. And he goes, okay, so she's a very old goddamn liar.
I have another art-related quote. This is when the famous boob sketch scene. Rose calls Jack out for blushing, and she says, "I can't imagine Monet blushing." And he says, "Monet does landscapes."
Oh, we didn't talk about how when the sketching starts that, the reason that suddenly DiCaprio's hand looks way older, it's James Cameron's hand.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's a
James
drawer?
Cameron.
So much
Yes.
The greatest
trivia.
pioneer.
I
on the
love
Titanic.
that.
So I mean, I had like a ton of quotes. I was just like writing things down throughout this entire movie. But the one I'll say is I really liked when her and Jack are up on the deck talking, you know, like, and he's showing her portraits, and then he offends her a little bit, and she's like, "Wait, I don't have to leave. You have to leave. This is my end of the ship. You leave." She's like so bitchy, and like she just gets all huffed, you know, like. All
It's
up,
so
and then
fun.
and then she's like, and then she just like steals his like thing. She's like, "What is this?"
What is this stupid thing you're carrying?
Yeah, that whole sequence is so
I
fun.
love how their relationship starts out with just them insulting each other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
they're
he's
both mean.
insulting her when she's about to commit suicide, essentially.
I really,
And then
sorry, go ahead.
and then she's insulting him when he comes onto her a little too strong.
That relationship would not have lasted.
No
No.
way. But I really do love Flustered Rose.
Yeah.
She is my
Yeah.
favorite. Just like,
How could you ask that question?
so rude.
Or a stunned Rose. Jack! So I have a real quote that I really liked.
Fine.
I'm just gonna cut it
You
out.
know what?
Use your old one.
Fuck you. I'm not giving you my real quote.
Good.
Right.
I didn't want it.
Fine. I was gonna give it to you anyway. Again.
No, fine.
Wow.
No, what's your
Okay.
quote?
That's quote rape.
Thank you.
Quote rape.
rape.
Quote rape.
That's all right. Nothing happens with that, as we all know. So we're good.
Wow.
Okay, so I like when Jack is in the water and he says to her, he's like, I don't know about you, but I intend to go write a strongly worded letter to the White Star Line about all this. That letter turns out great.
All right. I like the conversation they're having, and Rose is kind of pissed off at the dinner table, and she kind of insinuates that they have small members by the name of the Titanic, and she talks about Freud. And after she storms off, Ismay, he's like, Freud? Who is he? Is he a passenger? And like, I love that he doesn't get it.
Yeah.
And that moment is played funny for me. I really
That
like
was
that
a good
moment.
scene.
Your penis is small.
That's a great James Cameron sense of humor
Yeah.
moment. I'm really disappointed in all of you for not taking "I'm King of the World," but you know.
Or
so
draw me
obvious.
like one of your French
Yeah.
girls.
Yeah, or draw me like one of your
I
French
love
girls.
that. That's like
I
the
was
basic
wearing
bitch one
this.
that I'm in love with.
See, I was so ready
Yeah.
I was so ready to cringe when that line came because I knew it was coming.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then when she said it, I was like, that's sweet. And then I totally bought into it. I was expecting to.
"I'm King of the World" still makes me roll my eyes, but I love it.
Yeah.
It always makes me think of the Sand People from Star Wars for some reason.
Because we all kind of want to do that at times,
Yeah.
and then
The
we're
sand
like,
people?
no, I
Yes.
shouldn't do that.
Well, and a lot of us do it on the front of boats now. So
They have to rope
That
it off
happens.
so people
Yeah,
stop
they've
doing
made
it.
rules because of that movie.
So today's review system, I actually don't have one prepared. I have the review system prepared, but I couldn't think of one loaded, so that might mean it's difficult. But we'll find out.
All right, I like
Bryan
this.
is not loaded.
I know. Movies where the main mode of transportation is destroyed.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh, I've got
I
mine.
mean,
You can't use Titanic.
Nope.
Okay,
you could.
Although, I love Titanic more than this movie.
that's fine.
Obviously. Air Force One.
Oh fuck,
that's a
that's a
good
good one. Why? You can't just name
Because
Air
it's
Force.
awesome.
ha.
Because Air Force One is awesome. And Titanic is awesome.
I will go with Snowpiercer
Okay, why?
because it's about class systems and survival and doing what you feel is like the right thing to do. There's no love affair in that movie though, but it's just like truly just surviving and trying to reach your goal, which in Snowpiercer is to have more food and get off the train. And in Titanic, it's all about learning who you truly are and how to live your life and be in love. And it's all about freedom when you get down to it, honestly, both of them. And Snowpiercer, I think, is a great movie with great character development and so many fantastic side characters, which is also in this film.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Speed. As soon as you said love, like the
Oh.
romance, I'm like, oh,
The
Speed.
The bus survived, didn't it?
No, the bus hit a plane and exploded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
I
after
do
the guy
not
blew up.
remember
Transportation.
Yeah. I think a number of modes of transportation get destroyed in that one, but yeah, the bus
Right,
definitely
yeah,
explodes. And there's a love story, and it took place in the 90s. That's it for me.
Yeah.
I'll go a little bit of a stretch, but Source Code
Okay.
with
With Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yep.
That one? Yep, okay.
Yep, the main mode of transportation is destroyed, and
Many times.
Many times, actually. They keep revisiting it, like I think
I've
from
never
the
seen
past.
Source Code. What is it?
It's a really good movie. We'll talk about it later.
But
Yeah.
what's the main mode of
It's a train.
transportation?
A
I don't know about
commuter
that
train going to
either.
Chicago, actually.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. I've seen it. Yeah.
And where it's a stretch for me is like they do. It is kind of. It's not specifically a love story, but they do fall in love at the end. Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna go. Sorry, I really loved my idea. I'm gonna go with Terminator 2, where the destruction of the main mode of transportation freezes a character.
Okay.
Yeah, it's stretching.
And Brian
It's
is in
stretching
love
a little
with
bit, but it'll work.
And Brian is in love with that movie, so it's a love story.
yeah, exactly.
So I'm gonna go with the Land Before Time series because their main mode of transportation is their feet, and they all fucking die.
That is also true on the Titanic. Yeah.
Yep. Very similar.
Do they die at the end of Lamb?
Listen, if they don't die in
Yeah.
the movies, they die after. We
It's
just
implied
know it's
death.
coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't just keep making sequels where suddenly it becomes a musical.
No, they do, but they've got to end
They
somewhere.
did. They have like 10 sequels for those.
I mean, the Titanic is such an
I
inevitable
think it's actually
thing.
more than 10. I think
might
it's
be.
like 15,
It might be.
20.
Too many.
They both deal in inevitabilities, right? You know,
Yeah.
the dinosaurs are going to die horribly, and everyone
So
on
is
the
the
Titanic
yep,
did. Yeah.
Titanic was a dinosaur.
Yep.
Wow, I don't think we need review systems anymore. I think Laura just won the game.
They all die.
Wow, that's grim.
It's real talk.
Oh, we didn't reference it. It's not that important. But does anyone else think
Sorry.
it's hilarious when they're at the top of the boat waiting for it to sink and then Rose just kind of looks over and be like, oh, hey, there's Chef Boyardee.
No, I think only you find that
Oh,
funny.
yeah. I
Wait,
find
that
funny.
happened?
find
I
that
don't even
hilarious.
remember that.
You made that
That's
joke like
amazing.
3 times when we
Is
were watching
that
it and
your-
nobody laughed.
I still find it funny.
Is that your
Is that
meh
real?
moment? Is that your like meh moment?
The chef.
That's not real.
No, the chef for the ship is next to them on the back of the boat before they all die.
Yeah.
For some reason. I don't know why.
And he's got the mustache and he's got the white outfit. Yeah.
Yep.
Whatever.
And canned ravioli.
Yeah.
If you had a can of ravioli, it'd be
As he's
better.
falling down, he's like, that's so good.
So with that, I'm going to bring the episode to a close.
Thank you.
Okay.
So next week we have our first Versus episode ever, and it's going to be.
What's that?
You'll have to listen and find out next week. But it's going to be Jurassic World versus Jurassic Park.
Oh, versus.
Yes.
Like that. Okay.
Like that.
Not like
Somebody
a
asked
song.
me-
Yeah.
Somebody asked me when I was telling them about this, what is the difference between a battle and a versus, Brian?
You'll find out next week.
And we'll figure it out by next week.
Yeah, we'll figure it out by next week.
That's shorthand for we're figuring it out.
I do have a very specific plan about how they will be different, because there's going to be no clear-cut winner. It's going to be more comparing and versus, as opposed to which one of these on the table is the best.
But there's going to be a clear-cut winner.
Well, I mean, with Jurassic Park versus Jurassic World, there's definitely a better film, and it's
Every
Jurassic
time
World,
there's
of
gonna be a
course.
clear-cut winner.
Wait a minute.
But as far as the next 2 weeks go, we have Jurassic Park versus Jurassic World, folled by the 30th birthday anniversary for Pretty in Pink.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Gross.
And then the other one I'm going to mention now, so if people want to watch all of it so they can play along, we're going to be doing the entire season 9 of Doctor Who coming up in 3 weeks. So start watching now if you want to know everything before we spoil it all for you. And with that, thank you very much to Laura for coming on for the first time.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for Brad for coming back. And thank you to everyone else for always being here.
Yeah, whatever.
Sure.
Hi. Bye.
The bravest pioneer. No budget too steep, no sea too deep. Who's that? It's him, James Cameron. James Cameron, explorer of the sea. With a dying thirst to be the first. Could it be? Yeah, it's him, James Cameron.